Hello everyone and welcome to Winshuttle Transaction Basic Training. I am Stepbystep from ADSOTECH, your Winshuttle partner in the Nordics, and I'm here to guide you through our three training packages: Basic, Advanced 1 and Advanced 2. These packages are designed for new Winshuttle transaction users with a developer license. The complete Basics package includes creating your first script, problem investigation, and the different recording modes. This is the second portion of that package, and here we will concentrate on how to investigate problems with your scripts. Let's dive in. The first thing to check is, of course, the log column in Excel. So whenever you have run a script, you need to check the logs in Excel. If you see an error message there, you know that you have a problem, and then you need to investigate further. Sometimes the log message itself is very self-explanatory and you can simply fix the problem. It's usually with your data, and then you can rerun the script. For some scripts, it is possible to get what we call an extended log. So you would have a second column probably in Excel that would give you more information about the possible error message that you have. What you can also do is run your script in foreground. So an option that we call step-by-step stop on all screens. For some very specific cases, we also have an option called launch GUI, which can help in the performance of your script. Should you at any point require more information or more help, you can always check the online help in the tool itself. You can always try and recreate your script using another recording mode. If your first script or first try was done in a batch mode, then for the next try I would simply record in a non-batch mode, and so on. Of course, you can also check out Winshuttle's knowledge base, support.winshuttle.com. Simply do a quick search there and see if you find some helpful tips on how to create your specific script. But looking at these different problem investigation tips in more detail, the extended log first. So it's a way to capture all the warning information and other messages that appear during the execution of your script. Your normal log message only brings up the last message that SAP provides during the run of that particular transaction, so during the run of that particular row of data in Excel. And now if the last message there is an error message, then that error message is printed for you in Excel. But sometimes it happens that there are several messages coming up in SAP during the run, and these messages are sort of feeding each other, and then at the end the last message that comes up and finally makes Winshuttle exit SAP, that message might not be the best possible one to tell us about the actual cause of the problem. So here's when extended log comes in. Extended log will print us all these messages that come up, and that might help us get to the root cause of the problem. On your run window, you have a blue vertical bar on the right side of your screen, and it says Advanced Run Options on that bar. If you click it, you will get a side panel opened up, and in that side panel you have several options for different functionalities and features for your script. One of those features is extended log, usually the third one from the top. If you tick that option on, you will get an extended log in Excel. Now you also have to decide whether you want this extended log to be a comment in your current log column, or if you want it as a text in a column of its own. I usually use as text in a column. And that means that I also need to provide a column name, just the letter of the column that I want to have all of these messages printed in. In Excel, it might look something like this. So in column G, we have the normal log message, And in column H, in this case, we have the extended log. If you look at row 5 here, we have an error message in column G, no batch input data, type of an error message. Over in column H, we actually have 2 messages for that same row. The second message is the same, no batch input data. But the first one is talk about net weight being greater than gross weight, and that is a problem. That is the original issue that arises. SAP, Winshuttle in SAP is not able to process further because net weight simply cannot be greater than gross weight, and therefore it starts creating other issues and it gets stuck in the following screen. And therefore what we get in the normal log message is no batch input data, even though what we would like to know is that net weight is greater than gross weight. And from the extended log we now know that. All we have to do is fix our net and gross weight so that net weight is not greater than gross weight anymore, and then we can rerun the data to SAP. And again, once we have fixed the weights as they should have been, I would then use run on errors option here in the run options, simply to focus on those rows that had error messages on them, and we would now like to try if they can be processed successfully. Another run option that I like to use is a step-by-step run, and usually it is stop on all screens as given here on the bottom. This way I will actually be able to see what is happening in SAP. So that will be here. Step-by-step stop on all screens. So this I would use if I don't know what is the cause of my problem and I cannot fix it simply by fixing my data in Excel. If I can fix my data in Excel and simply rerun the script and everything's fine, then I'm happy. But sometimes even if I fix the data in Excel, I still get another error message, which I then possibly cannot fix. So I don't have enough information what is causing the issue, so I don't know how to fix it. If I run my script with step-by-step stop on all screens, I get to see what happens during the script execution in SAP. So I will actually start seeing the SAP screens on my computer screen. And I can, with the stop on all screens option, I can also operate that run. So Winshuttle will pop up the SAP screen and freeze it there for me to have as much time as I want to take a look at that SAP screen. If Winshuttle still knows how to move on from there when I'm ready, it will give me an OK code pop-up window, a small OK code pop-up window where I have a button which I can click to tell the system that yes, I'm ready to move on. When I click that button, Winshuttle will step up to the next screen and again stop there. I will still have my OK code pop-up window, and when I click it, we will move on to the next screen, and with the next click, of course, to the next screen, and so on. The point of all this is to find the problem, to find the issue, and probably a first indication of an issue right there is the fact that your OK code pop-up window disappears. Okay, it might disappear because of an information or warning message that has come up on your screen. So the first time it disappears, simply try pressing enter on your keyboard. If that helps and the OK code pop-up window appears again, then you're fine to move on. Just keep running the script until the end and see if the OK code pop-up window disappears again. If it disappears again, or it does not reappear when you press enter on your keyboard, then you have probably found your issue. Losing the OK code pop-up window means that right now, right then and there, Winshuttle does not know how to move forward. What Winshuttle tries to do automatically is to press enter. But if pressing enter is not enough, then there is an issue, and Winshuttle does not know how to move forward. So make a note of that, which screen it was where you were when the OK Code pop-up window disappeared and did not reappear by pressing enter. Then, if you don't already automatically know what the issue is, sometimes that might happen as well as soon as you see the SAP screens. But if it doesn't, then take the time to carefully compare the dialog that happens during the execution. So all the SAP screens that you saw before you found the issue, compare that with your recorded dialog. So what you did when recording. Now you don't have to remember exactly what you did when recording. You can also go to the mapper and try to figure it out from the expert tab. In the expert tab you can see all the steps that you did, not just the fields that you touched, but also all the buttons that you pressed and things like that. So you can follow the recorded dialog from there. The recorded dialog and the execution dialog need to match exactly, otherwise Winshuttle doesn't know what to do. So based on that, we can try to figure out what might be causing the issue, what might be the difference between the two, and then we might come up with a solution how to fix it. Finally, the use of the Launch GUI option. Although it's named Launch GUI, even if the option is on, it doesn't actually launch the GUI. At least not in the sense that the step-by-step option just did. So we are not, even if the Launch GUI option is on, we're not going to see the SAP screens. It launches the GUI a little bit more than without this option, but it does it in the background. So we're not going to see the SAP screens at all. By default, this option, you don't have to touch it. There's no need to touch this option unless you start seeing one of these cases listed here. So usually the system will automatically recognize if this option is needed for the script to work, so it will put it on automatically. And if it's not needed, then it's left off. Having the option on will slow down the script a little bit. So if we don't need it, then we absolutely want to leave it off. If we need it, then of course it needs to be on. But normally Winshuttle will recognize the need for it and put it on automatically. There are some cases when Winshuttle does not recognize the need, then we need to consider it. Those cases could be if you use the parking option in your accounting transactions, if the T code that you are recording or have recorded uses any kind of file input or output dialog boxes or other Windows resources, then you will most likely start seeing weird error messages and things like that. And then you need to come back in and tick on the Launch GUI option, which is located right there next to the Run options and the Run button. So it's very simple to check if it's off, try to put it on, rerun your script. If it starts, if you start seeing success messages, then of course you want to leave the option on. And if you still get the same weird error messages, then you can simply tick off the box and try to figure out what else might be causing the issues. Other cases where you need to consider this Launch GUI option, when your script runs fine in step-by-step mode, so you always see the OK Code pop-up window, it doesn't disappear at all. You simply click it, move on to the next screen, click it, move on to the next screen, and finally you, by clicking that same pop-up window, the same button, you simply get everything saved in SAP, and the SAP window closes, and you're sitting there like, what just happened? Why didn't I get any issues? And then you run it again with the Run Now option, and you still get error messages. If this happens, then most likely the cause or the problem is that this particular script needs the Launch GUI option in order to work, but it has been left unticked. So tick it on and try running again with the Run Now option and see if that helps. Also, if your script starts giving runtime error messages, something like transaction terminated by user or some kind of protocol error, or my personal favorite, runtime error raise exception has occurred. If this type of error messages start coming up, then simply check if your launch GUI option is on or off. If it's off, put it on, try rerunning. If you still get this type of error messages, then the cause is somewhere else, and you can take off your launch GUI option. But in many cases, with the launch GUI option on, everything seems just fine. You get success messages back to your Excel template, and you should be happy with that. Simply leave on the launch GUI option, and you can keep using your script. I have a very simple MM02 script right here. Let's look at the Excel file. Right here. I have enough data. I'm happy with that. First, let's take a look at the extended log. So here in the advanced run options, extended log, I want it as text in a column, and I want the column to be right next to my log column. Log column is G, so H would be a good column for my extended log. Whenever I do any changes here in the advanced run options, I try to remember to click save, just to be on the safe side, just to make sure that Winshuttle remembers these settings for my script. I can close that, and I will run my script. Out of my 4 data rows, 3 are fine. If you look at those rows, you will notice that the log message and the extended log message are exactly the same. So for these particular rows, there are no extra messages coming up during the execution. But if we look at row 3 here, the normal error message that I get is talking about a specific field that does not exist in the screen. So that itself might not tell us anything. If I would not have the extended log, I will start running step by step to see what is happening in SAP during the execution. But since I do have the possibility of extended log here, I will check that. Last message is the same. That's message number 3, the last one. So I have 2 other ones as well. Cursor field does not exist in the screen. Weird message as well. But prior to that, there's the message net weight is greater than gross weight. And that, we know, cannot happen. Our SAP is not going to accept weights where the net weight is greater than the gross weight. So there has to be a typo in my data. This is supposed to be 118 and 116 here. All right. Save that and try to rerun the script. I will do run on errors again to save the time. Not to run all 4, but only to run that one that has the error message on it. Everything looks good. I'm happy with that. All right, next, the step-by-step run and the launch GUI option that we talked about. The launch GUI option is right here. I don't have any case now for needing to use it, so I will just leave it as it is. I will leave it blank because my script will work without it, so I'm happy with it. Again, if you don't see a specific need for this option, then just forget about the option completely. When you start seeing weird error messages or other weird behavior, you use parking in your accounting transactions, or you see runtime error messages, then you start thinking about launch GUI option. Otherwise, you can simply forget that there's an option called launch GUI. But I do want to show you what the step-by-step run might look like. I'm not expecting any errors to happen now, but I would still like you to see what it might look like. Whenever I turn on the step-by-step run, it will ask me if I actually want to run only the first transaction, so first row of Excel data, or if I want to run all of it according to the start and end row that I have specified. In most cases, I will simply click yes to only run the first row of Excel data, and of course give my SAP credentials. Sometimes we run into scripts where it doesn't matter which rows of Excel data we run, but always the first one of those rows is fine and the following ones fail across the board. In those cases, when we start investigating, then I would run 2 or 3 rows of data. So I would specify a start and end row accordingly. And then in that particular question that we just had, I would say no. So no, I don't want to run only the first one. I want to run all of them. And then I would get to see how the first row differs from the following rows. Let's try to move this pop-up window. This is the pop-up window, the OK code pop-up window that I was talking about. So simply clicking here, I'm able to move on to the next screen and next screen and next screen. There's the selection of basic data 1 going in. Anything in red is coming from the script. Whether the script is taking it from Excel and putting it into SAP, or if it's a fixed value inside the script and Winshuttle is putting that in, it doesn't matter. It's going to be given to us in red so we can separate it from all the other ones. So anything in black is current values, old values, and current values in SAP that will still stay there. Those are completely unchanged when we run the script. Again, click so we can move on to the next phase. Basic material in red there. Click again. Then we get the pop-up. Again, clicking in the OK code pop-up window. And we exit SAP. So I did not lose my OK code pop-up window at any point, meaning that the script ran through just fine, which I expected to happen because I didn't have any errors in the Run Now option either. That concludes the second part of our basic package for Winshuttle transaction. Now we know how to create a simple script and how to go about investigating issues when error messages appear. Please join me in the next part, which will finalize our basic training and cover the different recording modes available in Winshuttle transaction. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining.